So moving on, question number 2 comes in from Samantha. Hi there, Samantha. Thank you for your question. Samantha says, I am selling a property for the first time and wanted to know if my buyer pulls out before the exchange, will I have to pay the solicitor's fees all over again, or do they put their work on hold until I find a new buyer? Well, that's a great question, Samantha. Thank you for that. Always a bit nerve-wracking when it comes to being the first-time seller. So not only, is it nerve-wracking being a first-time buyer, but then being a first-time seller, and you're kind of a little bit haunted about what could possibly go wrong when you're putting your property up for sale. Now, you haven't mentioned this in your question, and I'm presuming that you haven't got a seller's pack in place, which is ordinarily where you would pull together a lot of the information about the property before you put it up for sale. And that would be helpful for your buyer to be a more informed buyer and have access to a lot more knowledge and information before they put their offer in. And this is where a lot of deals run the risk of falling through, because ultimately they haven't... the buyer has had to make a decision based on limited information, which, they may have made a different decision were they to have more information up front. Okay. And that's really the purpose of a seller's pack, is to try and eliminate as much as possible the idea that the buyer might pull out or change their mind before we've actually got through to exchange of contracts, which is the legally binding part of the deal. Okay. Now, one of the things I'll say for you, Samantha, is it sounds as though it's early enough in you putting the property up for sale that you could get what we call a protect your pocket policy in place. And the reason I suggest you do that is because the whole idea of the protect your pocket policy is to protect you that, again, God forbid your sale falls through, then any money that you paid out for solicitors or, anything on the purchase of the property that you're going to buy or anything like that, that policy will pay out and cover your legal costs up to £2,000 or potentially more, depending upon the level of cover that you go for. All right. Now, if it's too late in the day and you haven't been able to put that protect your pocket policy in place, then the only thing that you can do is actually talk to the solicitors that are acting for you. And again, in my experience, it's pretty much whether they will agree to put everything on hold until you find another buyer and then pick everything back up and start again. And they may ask for a little bit of an increase in the fee to cover the work that they've already done, or they may want to invoice you for the work that they've already done and then knock it off any future bill that they present to you should you go back to them and decide to sell the property through them again. It really does depend. Practice to practice can vary very differently depending upon what their policies are. I would say it's worth a conversation with the solicitor's firm to see which way they will roll with it. It sounds as though, again, we're talking hypothetically, and obviously you just want some level of reassurance because this is your first time of selling a property and you hear all these horror stories that 1 in 3 sales may fall through. That could cause you a potential problem. But if you've got your protect your pocket policy in place, that will limit your downside in terms of exposure to fees, because we had somebody on a webinar a few weeks ago, Samantha, and they'd lost 5 buyers in a row. Now, I'm not trying to say that to frighten you, but the point is, if you lose one buyer and the deal falls apart, you then have to put the property back on the market. You then have to advertise it, find another buyer. Then you get another buyer and it goes into solicitor's hands. If you lose that second buyer, you've already paid for part of the legal work once. You paid for it a second time. Then you can start to see that these costs can mount up significantly. And, I forget what the statistics are in terms of the average amount of savings that most people have in the UK, but it's something like, £7,000 or £8,000. It's not a huge amount of money. And so, if you're forced to pay out £500 or £1,000 to a solicitor because of the fact that your deal's fallen through, so through no fault of your own, then, wouldn't it make sense to have something in place that would cover you and pay out that, God forbid this happens, it puts you in a very stable position financially so that you're not penalized for somebody else's behavior or change of heart. Does that make sense? So it's something that I would certainly think about doing, and definitely have that conversation with your solicitor to sound them out, see what they would do in that sort of a situation, and hopefully it won't be a penalty. Hopefully it won't be they won't be difficult with you about it, but definitely get your protect your pocket policy in place, because that will just cover you. God forbid anything else untoward happens. All right. Also, might be worth you having a read of Home Buyer Secrets, Samantha, if this is your first time of selling. I do provide a ton of information in that book to help you manage the process. And also, if you're, I don't know whether you're thinking about buying after you've sold this property, but if you are, it's definitely worth having a read of that to be prepared and to be armed with all the right information before you go forward on a property purchase or a property sale, just so that there's a lot of pitfalls in buying and selling property, and if you're not sure what they are, they can come along and bite you on the bottom, and they're expensive to manage all the way through. Whereas if you've got some of the things in place that I talk about within Home Buyer Secrets, you're better protected, and it'll make your journey a lot more smooth and easier, because forewarned is forearmed. You know what I mean? So hope that helps, Samantha. I don't want this to turn into a shameless plug about the services that we offer, but we have analysed the home buying and selling process from, shall we say, a 30,000 feet level, to understand where all the pitfalls are and how best you can protect yourself as you go forward, because it is fraught with complications. It is a minefield out there. It is taking longer than ever to get a deal through to completion, and you just want to be covered and protected as best as possible. And the only way you can do that is through educating yourself and then putting a couple of things in place that we talk about within Home Buyer Secrets to really help you out. So good luck with that one, Samantha. Hope it all goes well, and let us know if there's anything else that we can do to help. All right. So that's all of the questions that we've had in this week. So thank you so much for all of your contributions. We're here every week doing this, taking all of your property questions that you send in to us, and taking the time to answer it in as much detail as possible, and pointing you in the right direction to the right resources to help you get the knowledge and information that you need. You can send your questions in to us via email, which is happytohelp@WiggyWam.co.uk. That's happytohelp@WiggyWam.co.uk. You can also go to our website to find a lot more knowledge and information in our learning centre. That's WiggyWam.co.uk. That's WiggyWam.co.uk. And if you want to go to the learning section on there, put /learn. You can also send your questions in via Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at WiggyWam_UK. That's at WiggyWam_UK. And again, we'd be delighted to take these questions in and answer them as we do each and every week. Please also share this with your friends and your family members and your social circles. Share it out on social media. There are literally hundreds of thousands of people every month that need help with their moving journey. And we'd love to be able to be a resource that helps and navigates and guides them through their journey to actually be able to make it a lot less stressful, a lot more fun, and to arm them with all the relevant information that they need to avoid the financial penalties and pitfalls that so often catch people out and cause them to be financially out of pocket, or very stressed out from the entire process. So please do consider sharing this with your friends and family in your wider network. And we'll be back next week, which we're very much looking forward to. So that's it from me tonight. Thank you so much indeed once again for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. You take care. Bye-bye.